Hi, Caleb. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time out and talking with us. So, Caleb, can you share a bit about your career journey? I hear that you're a filmmaker.
Yes, I used to do a lot of documentary work in
Right.
Chicago as far as following around classical musicians. And I did a documentary on Guitar Builder. And then from there, I've done brands and hotels and non-for-profit organizations. And I met Ming in 2003. And I've always done like content for him up
Okay.
until like even through the pandemic. Before that, we talked about doing a documentary kind of, and that's how Who Am I? Uh, the film came about.
So, what was the purpose of the documentary? What was the message, or what did you want to teach people about the documentary?
Yeah, we wanted to just give people an alternative, another option,
Right.
and it was never to make other people feel bad of what healthcare they want to see. It was receive. It was just more of a different a different option, if an alternative, if one of the alternatives that they were using wasn't helping, maybe what Dr. Wu does, maybe they can find some peace and some help in that.
Right.
It's
So,
options, right? And I
yeah.
feel like um just in general we have like options for everything, right? Your cell phone, your computer, um shoes, sneakers. There's always options, and I feel like we don't get enough um, of another side of healing just here because of Western, being Western medicine, and we're dominated by that philosophy, which is fine.
Yes, no, there's no doubt there's a Western medicine crisis going on with the opioids and prescription situation and sustainability of your healthcare. So you actually traveled to China with Dr. Wu to film this, right?
Yes, I went twice to
Oh,
China with
you went
Dr. Wu
twice.
to
Oh,
film.
wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Caleb, can you share your journey? What was it like to travel to China? Which cities did you go to? What did you learn from it? I'm just curious about your entire film journey with Dr. Wu and learning about the culture and Taoist Chinese medicine.
Right. Well, the first time we flew into Guangzhou.
Okay,
It's a big city. Um, it's like New York, but bigger, more people.
right.
And from there, then we went to Ming's hometown
Oh,
in
wow.
Puning, and and we were the first foreigners to go to his village in
Mhm.
his hometown. So that was a great experience.
Yeah,
It's always cool to see where when you're working with someone where they're from, and then you get a better grasp of who they are, and we met his family, and it was just people lining up to meet with him to get consultations, and
wow.
the food was great. So
Right.
we had a really good time. Yeah.
So just from what you picked up since you did visit his hometown, how did you think that made him as a person? Like, did you find that because he grew up in the country, he had a different philosophy about life and healing?
Well, he just it was a philosophy that was passed down over generations and generations. So, and you felt that in his village. You felt that going to where his dad's office used to be.
Yeah,
So yeah, it just he's authentic. In
right,
in going there, you feel the authenticity of him.
right. And
Yeah.
then when, yeah, because he comes from the 20, I think 20th generation of practitioners in his family, which is a huge lineage. Um, when you were there, how did you feel about the people? receiving treatments from Dr. Wu? I mean, can you kind of share the sentiment? Do you feel like most people there believe in Taoist Chinese medicine, or what was kind of the sentiment there?
Yeah, well, it's not foreign to a lot of them,
Right,
especially the older generations.
right.
They've grown up with it, so it wasn't something to be nervous about or
Yeah,
feel uneasy about. So
right,
yeah, they were just like, okay, these herbs I need. Okay, thank you. And
right. So
it's
they're
it
very
was
grateful.
common. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a situation, or can you share maybe like a patient case story that you were just in awe of, like what Dr. Wu did for that person?
Um. So there was the one of a former police chief
Right.
who had a stroke,
Oh my
and
goodness.
he started coming every morning to see Dr. Wu, and little by little, he first he came with people helping him while he was on a walker, and his memory was he didn't have his memory wasn't sharp, and by a few treatments during that span of was a week or 2 weeks, he started to be able to walk a little bit better on his own, and his memory started to come back.
Oh wow.
And I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely amazing. And
Yeah.
what did Dr. Wu perform on him to help
Oh,
alleviate
to
this?
Tuina. He
You
gave
know,
him
wow.
Tuina treatments, and Dr. Wu calls like behind your head, like the wind point
Right.
behind your neck, and he was pressing those points for him, like an hour treatment, and then the gentleman would, come back the next day, get another treatment, and kept coming back and kept coming back.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, I learned about that wind line for strokes and the different acupressure points. I'm just curious, Caleb, just, and as an American going into China, you're a filmmaker, you're capturing all these phenomenal moments of healing through the natural way. I mean, can you express or share more of what you see as a disparity between Western medicine and Eastern?
Eastern, the traditional Chinese medicine, or what Dr. Wu likes to call himself the Taoist Chinese medicine doctor, is
Right,
they look at the root cause of it of your a problem that you may have. The Western just treats the symptom,
right,
and they don't delve deep. That I'm just saying, the ones that I've encountered in my life, um, have 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 been like that a little bit. And but yeah, Dr. Wu's philosophy and traditional Chinese medicine philosophy is looking at the root cause. So X, Y, and Z problem you have, he'll look at the root cause of what may be causing that. And I think that's makes a
yeah,
so yeah. The difference I think with traditional Chinese medicine or Eastern medicine and Western medicine is what Dr. Wu does is he looks at the root cause
right,
of a symptom, whatever XYZ symptom that you have, he'll look at the root cause. And I feel like Western just treats the symptom. And I'm not saying maybe I don't like to make blanket statements on, Western medicine doctors. I'm sure there's a lot that also look at, the root causes of things, but as, as general practice of the philosophy is what Dr. Wu does being a Taoist Chinese medicine doctor is he looks at the root causes of an issue you may have.
right. Yeah, no, I saw your documentary. By the way, the documentary is called Who Am I? And there was a part that just blew my mind was this little infant, I think, was allergic to cow's milk. And he was having all these little problems. It was amazing that they just removed the cow's milk. And I can't remember what other treatments he did, but it was just so extraordinary to watch that on film and see something as eliminating dairy out of your diet and how it changes your entire being. What is the meaning of who am I, as far as what you as a filmmaker was intending and what Dr. Wu was intending? What was the message behind who am I?
So it's about like an individual, like what works for you. Um, and that's basically like the simplest form of who are, like, if you eat a certain type of food and it gives you certain type of symptom, so you
Right,
understand like who you are, right? Sometimes you might eat raw food and that might give you a lot of acid reflux, as an example, so you have to eat more cooked food and maybe not as much salads and raw foods.
right,
But
right,
it's all about who you are as a person, right? Certain foods might give you high blood pressure, right? So it's kind of like finding out who you are as a person. Who am I? And it was also like a play on words of like who was Dr. Wu, as well
right.
as his story, and
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So it's knowing yourself, right? It's knowing yourself, knowing what works for your body. And everyone's constitution's different. What works for someone versus, you and I, it's going to be completely different. So I understand the message of knowing yourself, taking your power back, and taking the power back of your own health, because you are your best doctor. And the TCM modalities are all to help you regain that. Why do you think that Western medicine does not teach this?
It's a business, right? If
Yeah,
you can heal yourself, yeah, it's just the business. And if you can heal yourself, then you don't have to go there. And with any business, you need foot traffic in order to generate
right.
money. And again,
Yeah,
it's different philosophy,
right.
right? Like it's just philosophy, there's differences, right? I don't think one thing is better than the other. They're just different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, Western medicine is great for, immediate urgency, like surgery or something like that, if you're in an accident, a car accident, but they don't seem to incorporate or embrace the spiritual component as much as Taoist Chinese medicine. So when you were in China and filming this documentary, did you sense that the spiritual component of treating people was really very prevalent? Like it was a really strong element, and did people naturally embrace that?
Yeah, I felt like through the people, the patients that we saw that were coming to see Ming, that were lining up to come and see him, I feel like they understand that, just the philosophy from how they grew up and where they're
Yeah,
from. Here might be a little bit difficult, um, with some people if they're not open to it, because it's new, and
right,
it's hard to, when it comes to your health, it's hard to try something new that you're not accustomed to.
right, right,
So it was kind of like, with the film, was kind of like breaking down and showing that, like, you could maybe take an alternative approach if that was
hmm,
something.
right. Dr. Wu talks a lot about, the American culture of the hustle culture. Everyone's moving super fast. They're not slowing down. And he expresses that that's why a lot of people are getting sick, is because they don't know how to slow down. What was it like when you went to China? Did you feel like their lifestyle was much more balanced, in tuned with nature, much slower and easygoing? I mean, what
Well,
was
yeah,
it
I
like?
think, yeah, well, in the cities is like any other
It
city,
is,
right? If you have
right,
20 million people in the city, it's moving fast. But in the countryside, it's a different philosophy. It's
right,
slower, and it's not as like go, go, go.
right,
Cities that we saw in China, like Shanghai, the countryside, yeah, the countryside has a lot of people, but it's just a different, um, that what I saw was different, because there weren't, um, I don't know, it's just it didn't get kind of westernized.
Right.
Some of the cities in China, they can get westernized. You can see a McDonald's and Kentucky Fried
Yeah.
Chicken and
Right.
those types of things. And then in the countryside, it was more old school methods
Yeah.
and and the cooking and people, and it was just a different flow
Right. Yeah.
than like Shanghai, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like the countryside kept its purity. It wasn't. It wasn't. I don't want to say contaminated. That sounds like a harsh word, but it just wasn't tainted by all the modernization of, the Western ways of doing things and medicine. And Caleb, was there any hospitals around in Dr. Wu's town?
Yeah, around that area, we went to a few hospitals, and Dr. Wu gave a speaking engagement at one, and then he started to meet patients. So yeah, he did a lot of work with the hospitals while we were there,
Right.
and they kind of incorporate Western and Eastern in some of the hospitals now in China,
Yeah.
just because the Western, it's just powerful, right? So it goes, in China now, and so it's two things working sometimes at once. But the people there were very open
Yeah.
to that, right? And I feel like we're both here in California, and I feel like in California people are more open
To it.
to to it as well.
Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
have you tried some of the TCM modalities like Tuina and herbal teas and fire cupping? Have you done
Yes,
some? Okay.
yeah, like the points, like if my wife has like something going on,
Right.
or my son, there's certain points Dr. Wu's he's taught me, so I push on those points. Yeah,
Oh wow.
we
So
we practice it here.
yeah, so the acupressure points too.
Yeah, I know. I'm not like Dr. Wu, but being around him for so long, for so many years,
Right.
I understand like the basic points to
Right.
press.
Caleb,
Yeah.
kind of going back to what you're saying about, we both are from, we both live here in California. People are more open-minded. You're up in LA and I'm down in Carlsbad. And I know Encinitas area is very open to this holistic healing. And, they're definitely more open to the Taoist Chinese medicine. Why do you think that people are now becoming more open and heading towards that direction? Do you feel like maybe they're fed up with Western medicine, that it's not working for them, or they are just wanting something more naturalistic?
Yeah, I think there's more stories now, things maybe through social media.
Yeah,
Um, there's being around other cultures also helps. I think people um maybe just don't want a pill to fix everything.
totally agree.
Because, again, I don't want to sit here and bash Western
Right.
medicine,
No.
but when you're watching a television show and it cuts to commercial and they have a product that comes out and they tell you, look at these are all the side effects that might happen to you. I think maybe people say, you know what, maybe I don't want these side effects, and maybe I can go because my neighbor has told me about a person that they've saw that helped them. And so I think it's kind of like a snowball effect of everything going on in the time that we're living in now. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. It's
Right.
just
No,
it's just how
no.
how it's moving, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are great insights. And I totally feel the same way, that I think people are reaching a point where, you know, if it's not working with, let's say, the prescriptions or the chemo, then in some ways you're in a desperate situation, a dire straits, that they have to figure out another way to make it work.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, not to cut you off.
yeah, you're good.
Dr. Wu always talks about quality of life.
Right.
is having like a quality of life even with an ailment. I was like, well, how's your quality of life? But then it comes back to like who am I? Like who are you as a person? What do you want? Right? If it makes you comfortable doing um a traditional way of Western, then that's fine. If it makes you feel more comfortable doing traditional Chinese medicine, that's fine, right? We kind of
Right.
like want to leave it up to you as the viewer for the film. We were just giving people's their journey and their testimonies, and wasn't trying to force anything on anyone. Like in
Right.
the documentary, Dr. Wu also, he says like if it works for you, then that's fine. If this works for you, then that's fine. There's different things. You have to do what's better for how you feel and what's going to make you feel happy and are
Yeah.
confident with doing, right? Like he can't, and this also talks about his belief. He can't believe it more for you than you believe it for yourself. Like you have to believe that these things can help you that Dr. Wu is prescribing, right? He can't want it also more than you. It's like you work together as a team to figure out the best route
Yeah,
for
that's a
you
great
possibly
point.
to.
Yeah, no, those are really great points. I think he once said that the patient has 70% of the power because you're the one that's receiving the treatments, like what you're saying. You have to believe that you can heal yourself because there is an innate intelligence in all of us, and it's tapping that innate intelligence, and the herbs and the cupping and all these different modalities is just spurring that healing process for you. And he says a lot. It's not that he is the miracle worker coming in as like I don't want to say God, but it's not like he's coming and healing you miraculously like that. What it is he's equipping you with the right materials and the right treatment so you can tap into that self power of healing.
Yeah.
um Another thing you said about the quality of
His
life,
is
I think.
his is
Yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, you were talking, Caleb, about the quality of life that he really impresses on people. I so agree. You talk about the root cause. Dr. Wu talks about the root cause. Well, how did the person get sick in the first place? Right? They got sick from the root cause of where it originated, which is maybe you're working 80 hours a week, you're not exercising, you're not getting the right nutrition, you're eating processed foods. But a lot of people, I feel like they're not conscious enough to make some of the they're not circling back to that. They just want to keep going and keep forward, and then they just kind of go to Western medicine, pop a pill to solve it. But it takes a lot of self-reflection and consciousness to want to really trace back and really self-reflect on what is happening in your lifestyle that caused that illness to begin with. But I think a lot of people are moving so quickly that they don't stop to really reflect. And I think your film with Who Am I is sharing that message, is to go within again. It's not an external source you're looking for. You are having to revert back to yourself. Would you say that that is similar to what you're conveying?
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. And um, to piggyback on that is that right now, and to go back to what you were saying, like the different, like how it was in China in the countryside and in the cities, or like how it is here in America, is that we're looking for like quick fixes, right? So we want
Yeah,
to be able to take the pill and then feel better, right? It's like we don't want to wait for anything anymore. How society,
exactly.
we can order something online and it can be here that same day or the next day. And
Right.
with Chinese medicine, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, right? Sometimes there's the formula you have to take, and there's things that you can do, and it might not be like the overnight fix. And
Right.
I think that again, for some people that will work, for others it might not. And
Right.
it just, I think societal, especially now,
Yeah,
everything is go, go, go.
totally.
Chinese medicine isn't that,
Yeah,
you know,
I definitely feel like making these slight adjustments, like, I mean, even for myself, all I did was make slight adjustments. I got off dairy, I started doing Qigong, I took the herbal tea, I did Tuina. I think these little adjustments at a time. And then 6, 8 months later, you're like, oh, I've dropped weight and I didn't even try.
right,
It's like you are cognizant of what you're putting in your body as far as the food and nutrition. You're cognizant of what you're putting in your mind. And I think the Qigong and Tai Chi is bringing that spiritual element in recognizing the soul and the divinity of your healing power is a really critical point. And that's a part that Western medicine doesn't recognize, is the spiritual aspect. And
right.
that's okay. And like I said, I totally agree with you. I think you could use Western and Eastern complementary to what works for you. Um, Caleb, what would you say to someone that just finds this Taoist Chinese medicine a little strange, a little woo-woo? They might say, oh, this film, I don't know if there's any weight to it, meaning, like, let's say a medical doctor from a different discipline comes and watch it. What would you say to someone like that? I mean, they might look at this film as like a little too woo woo for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I don't feel, I wouldn't, it doesn't, it's not insulting.
right,
Like, I get it. I understand. I know where we are. I know how society's moving. I get it. I understand. Um,
right,
and but then it's maybe not for them, right? Or they've exhausted the Western medicine a lot and it's not helping. So then they might maybe turn to Dr. Wu or someone in that traditional Chinese medicine field. But yeah,
right,
I get it. I don't hold any contempt for anyone.
right. So you and Dr. Wu just would like to just put out this film, just like what you said earlier. It's an alternative option for medical care, and it's also just to bring attention, it sounds like, is you have created this documentary to bring awareness of what's happening on the spiritual level, emotional level, mental level, and physical. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, it's not entailed to bash the other side.
right,
It
absolutely.
was just created to give an alternative and for others to explore and to become familiar with. It's not, it's not one of those films that are saying this is bad, this is what they do over here
Right.
and X.
Like,
No, it's not.
yeah,
It's
like a
not
lot
that.
of
It's
those health documentaries on
right.
Netflix and things.
Yeah, yeah, right. This was just more of like just introduction. This is who Dr. Wu is. This is what Chinese medicine is. This is where he's from.
Right.
This is his family practice that he's generations but upon generations. And if you want to try it, you can try it.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's up to you as well.
Right.
You know?
Caleb, I actually saw the documentary 3 times and I loved it absolutely. And I found the documentary to be totally phenomenal. It opened up my eyes as far as seeing what can be done in this ancient practice that's been around over 2,000 years. It's incredible how powerful these TCM modalities are. I think it's a beautiful culture, and I also personally am heading towards that direction myself as a practitioner. That's how much it affected me. And where can someone see this film? Yes.
Whoamifilm.com.
Okay, who
It's
am
on
I
Who am I
film.com?
film.com. Yeah.
Perfect. And My last question for you is, what has been your experience traveling with Dr. Wu, being treated by Dr. Wu, learning from Dr. Wu?
Um, he's an amazing person, and he's kind and he's patient, and he has just a great attitude, and he'll make you smile, he'll make you laugh. It's just, he's like a guy that his energy of kindness and um excitement kind of rubs off on the people that he's around. Like you can't help but to have a good time when you're around him, because that's how his energy, what it exudes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Caleb. Thanks for
Thank
your
you.
time and
Thank you.
doing this interview. And I really recommend to a lot of people to watch this film, Who Am I? Film.com. Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you. Bye.